chance of putting me on a plane and sending me to California out to art school here. But aside from that, they were, very supportive and didn't really squash it in any way. So they always had plenty of paper around to get my hands on.
I grew up a twin. Actually, I still am. And so my twin brother and I, that was our competition. We weren't into sports or anything. We weren't cool. We were nerds. And so we drew all the time, and we were competitive with that. I would go over his drawings. He would go over mine. And a stone sharpened stone. I guess it really helped us to really strengthen our skill sets. But my mom was always. I grew up with a single mother, so I mean, moms to me are everything. They really are. And my mom was the only thing in my life, and what I idolized more than anything was my mom and what she did for us and the sacrifice she made. And when she would come home, after being at work all day, and we were kind of latchkey kids because my mom was the only one working, she would come home and, I couldn't wait to show her the new drawing I had done. Mom, look at this, I drew this Mickey Mouse here, or this, Snoopy or something like that. It's the Red Baron, and she would always fawn over it. And so I give my mom the credit for really helping my brother and I. My brother's also a Disney animator. He worked on The Lion King also, and animated Mushu and Mulan. So we both made it at Disney, and it's because of my mom and her encouragement.
So are you guys artistic with any other mediums, or do you just kind of stick with pen and paper, pencil paper?
I like sausages, actually. No,
I sculpt.
actually, yeah, he's a really good sculptor. For me, I don't know. I love drawing, and there's some kind of a visceral thing, I think, of pencil and paper that I just connect with. So I've always done this. I've done some watercolor here, and I've done some oil painting and whatever. I don't really consider myself that kind of an artist. I'm happy to say I'm a cartoonist. I make cartoons come to life.
Yeah, no, I have one of my other passions besides art is history, American history. So I use my outlet for that, or my therapy is to sculpt. So I've been doing some sculpting for the last, almost 15 years, just so I get it out of me.
Clay or bronze?
Well, I have it cast in bronze. Yeah, so I sculpt and clay, and so they're kind of like Remington type pieces. So, yeah, so it's very therapeutic.
He's good.
So
This guy. I mean, Mark was actually one of my first mentors when I first started out. That's how old he is.
He's the latest family.
But that's true, though. I mean, Mark is one of those Disney legends that I aspired to be when I first started at Disney. And I've had the privilege to work with him on several movies.
you were my boss once.
That's right. And I was his boss once too, and he still likes me, I guess.
He was co-director on Mulan, so I animated Mulan. So
He animated.
I did Mulan and her father, which was a great job.
I love it. That is a great movie.
It's always cooler saying you animated the character than directed the movie. I think that's a cooler thing.
So when they tell you guys, like, hey, you're gonna draw a warthog and you're gonna draw a lion, like, are you, and you're the supervisor of it, do you come up with the concept, like, he's gonna look like this, and kind of bring it to the table then?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, because when we come on, there's already been a lot of story development. There's always been some visual development, meaning that's a highfalutin word for research and drawings done of what the characters could look like. They probably storyboarded most of the film by the time we come on to a picture. So there's a lot there to start off with. The director's done some exploring already with some other artists of what these characters could look like. But it is our responsibility to do a final look of the character. So we take everything that's been done and kind of put it in this creative funnel of our brains and say, is this it? And of course it's always up to the directors to make that final approval, but out of our pencils comes those final designs that we make the model sheets of. And assuming they get approved by Jeffrey Katzenberg and the directors and whoever else is at the studio at the time, Michael Eisner, then we're off and running.
So have you ever had a situation where you really wanted the character to look a certain way? Maybe they, wanted it to look a little bit different? Well, obviously, if there is some collaboration, but I just wonder how that is, because as an artist, you might want it to be a certain way.
Well, yeah, I had that a little bit on Simba, actually. There was, we were, over the course of our study and doing research, the lion cub, well, a couple of things. One, a lion cubs, when they're real little, have some spots on them. But the other thing that I thought was really neat was on the back of their ears, they have these black spots with kind of a white trim. And I really wanted to do that. I did a lot of drawings and designs and, showed them like that, but I still don't know to this day why the directors just said no, and they ended up with just this little kind of color on the bottom of his ear, but on the back of their ear, it's practically all black. It's just, again, it's a camouflage thing. It's a lot of what we learned about, these lions is, nature has given them the, what you see for reasons. There's reasons why they have big whiskers, and there's a reason why they have a little white underneath their eyes that helps them see at night.
And did they have, in this case, was there a particular reason that they ever told you, oh no, we want it to be this way, or was it like?
They never did. It's just the director, he just said, no, I said, I don't think we want to do that. I'm like, okay.
It's not your day, Mark.
So you mentioned that you
Those
did the
nasty
Lion King.
directors.
Did you also do Lion King 1.5 and Lion King 2?
No, that's a totally different crew. We
Right.
get that question a
Yeah.
lot. We did the original one, we kind of set the pace of what they should look like, how they should act, and then they had a separate crew that put out those at a lower price point. They're
I
not
see.
theatrical
Since
releases.
they weren't, yes.
We were considered the theatrical team, and then they have.
Not my favorite thing.
Released the DVD team?
So you guys, what
Yeah.
characters are you working on now? Are you allowed to say, or? Is it
I'm actually
movies,
working
or-
for, I'm not with Disney anymore, I'm actually with another studio, brand new studio in Glendale, California. I can't say too much about it, but I'm directing a new animated feature. And Mark,
And I just finished Winnie the Pooh.
Oh,
which
yeah,
just-
which is
which
so
just
good,
came
by the
out.
way.
Yeah.
That came out last month, so I'm kind of waiting for the next project to get approved to go into production. So,
So what do you do in between? Are you just on holidays?
that would be nice.
party
No,
like
I'm,
it's 1999, come on.
what's that?
You party like it's 1999.
We're gonna come in for.
So, no, I've been doing some experimental work, some scenes for some of the CG films. They've had us do some experimental stuff, kind of test driving some characters and that.
Busy work.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of busy work, so.
How long?
But that's the way it goes. These things are kind of.
How long was the process to animate for the film? I mean, for you guys when you were drawing all of your stuff, or?
What was the production schedule?
About a year and a half.
About it.
But I think we were on it for about a year and a half, right?
Yeah, I think we come on a little earlier, but it was probably 18, I don't think it was 24 months. Between 18 and 24 months.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty average.
Yeah.
When you're working on a project, how many drawings will you do in a day?
Oh, in a day? Well, I thought you were gonna say through the length of the project. It's pretty hard to amass, but
It depends, it really does.
this guy, he does an incredible amount. I mean, he really does the work of 3 animators, and he's that fast when he gets supercharged and has his caffeine in the morning. But I think most normal animators like myself, probably, I don't know. I mean, I don't really think about it in drawings as much as seconds of film. And most animators, if you produce 3 seconds of film a week, you're doing a good job.
3 seconds in a week?
A week.
And you
Oh my
said
goodness.
12
And
to
how many
24?
drawings is that, do you think? Well, you don't know.
Well, 12 to 24
20.
drawings in a second.
Yeah, 12 to 24 per
Okay.
second. So
And these
it's
are like
just-
sort of final drawings?
Let's
like
kind of start doing the math,
realistic, right?
60 seconds a minute, 86 minutes in a movie, you just kind
And that's just
Yeah,
the
it's
character,
not-
not the background, correct?
Right, just the
Right.
character.
What's your favorite part of the process?
When it's done.
Alcohol?
But like, I mean.
You know what, for me, the animating, the design process and the visual development, the story process, those are all good things because you're creating something from scratch, but, I think Mark and I both got into this business because we wanted to perform, and we didn't look like Tom Cruise, so we got a pencil out. And so, we're actors through a pencil, with a pencil, and we're able to, that's when I think I'm the most happy, is when I'm just sitting there quietly flipping papers and animating like you see in those documentaries, the 9 Old Men or whatever. We still do it that way, and I just go to this place, this zone, where I'm just lose track of time and I'm there, I'm in the character. That's the best.
of, yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, there's there's different stages, so it's kind of fun to be in on the early stages when you're banging out the story and hammering it out. And one of my favorite meetings to attend is what we call a workbook turnover session. So when a sequence has been approved to go into production, so it's the storyboards, which just look like a big bunch of comic strips, just little pictures that tell the story. And then when that gets approved to go into production, we'll have this meeting called a workbook turnover, and it's one of the last major creative efforts to sit down and say, okay, we look at the sequence and we decide, all right, how can we make this better? And you may come to the table with, oh, I was thinking about this, and what if somebody did this? We've got, I had an idea, and the directors can say, yeah, that's kind of fun, and we start kind of modifying and shaping things. So it's a really fun, interactive meeting before you start handing scenes off for animation. And then at that point, then it's like Tony, it's just, having a pile of scenes in your room and some little person coming around going, when's that scene gonna be finished? Just happily drawing and animating and then going to dailies and, getting your scenes approved. And just that process is just a lot of fun.
How much research do you actually do long before you start doing the drawing? And the reason I ask that is, you said you did Princess Tiana, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
The very first African-American princess. That was a very
My
emotional
pleasure.
time for
That's
me.
right. It was a lot of
So
fun.
thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Something I thought I'd never see in my lifetime, so to be able to share that with my daughters was major. But what I thought was very interesting about the movie itself and the animation is my grandparents live in Louisiana.
Oh.
So all of the specifics about how the movie came about and the background and the lingo and how Princess Tiana looked, all of that was true to Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just interested to know how much research you do prior to actually creating the figure.
Well, it will depend. In this particular show instance, we probably did a little more than usual because we really wanted to know, what these animals were all about. I mean, for our generation, we kind of felt like this was our Bambi. And we did what they did on Bambi. They had deer at the studio, they had drawing classes with experts, had deer in front of them, and sketching and understanding, and you can see the results. If you look at the deer in Snow White versus the deer in Bambi, they're night and day. You can see there was a much more better understanding of what makes a deer. And so we all felt the same way with this. We all, you couldn't just go home and look at your house cat and think, oh, well, that's a lion. It's like, no, it's not quite the same. Some things, but it's not quite the same. So you said about 6 months. I don't know. I can't remember how long it was, but we went to zoos. They went to San Diego. We went to Miami-Dade Zoo. While we were in Florida, we had Jim Fowler. I don't know if you remember Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Jim Fowler was the guy that Marlon Perkins always said, Jim, go wrestle that alligator, will you? And he was off wrestling the alligator. But he came in and did a 3 or 4 days workshop with lion cubs. They had a full-grown lion here. Yeah, they had a full-grown lion here. We had what I call teenage lions in Florida, about the size of a German Shepherd. I got to play with them and tussle with them, and they're just amazing to get just to touch one. I mean, it was just
so strong.
They're so powerful. They look soft and lanky, but it's like just muscle, nothing but muscle. And so we just spent a lot of time looking at documentaries and just everything we could to understand the real, so that we knew how to caricature, which was something that Walt used to always insist on in his artists. You understand the real, so you know how to caricature it for the cartoon, for the effect. Yeah, because the idea is making a believable character, not a real character or a real line. It's just we're making sure that Simba is believable. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
So how much do your kids require you to draw for them?
And their friends.
Every time I had an art project, I'd be like, Dad.
I've done a lot
Did
of
my
art
homework for me.
projects for my kids, actually.
What kind of
Were
grades
they
did
artistic
you
too?
get?
They got some good grades and the teacher knew better.
Yeah, usually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your dad do
Did
this
your dad do
again?
it's funny. I don't draw that much for my kids. They grew up with it. They grew up with their dad drawing, so it's not unique, I guess. It's not, they think it's special, and especially as teenagers now, they think it's cool that I worked on these characters and all the characters that I've done. But they don't come to me all the time for drawings. You know, it's just not something they think of. They just see Daddy behind the drawing board. And I do a lot of work at home too, late into the late hours, and you know, and they just see it as Daddy's got homework. You know.
No, but it was when their friends
Yeah, that's
found
different.
out.
Yeah.
Then it was,
Then
then
it's
they
special.
started to appreciate,
Yeah.
your dad did what?
Yeah.
Drew who?
And they stand on the street, yeah, that's my dad. Then all of a sudden we're cool.
Yeah.
You look smack down. You
Yeah.
think your kids must win all the time. My dad's an animator for Disney. Done. I can't top that.
How exactly do you get the movement so lifelike?
You know, it's a slow process of learning and understanding the way animals move and studying that thing.
So that really is a big part of it, just watching how they actually move in
Yeah,
real life, not just how
exactly.
they look. but the
Yeah,
actual
we had
moving.
videotapes on Lion King where we just, I remember doing a scene of Pumbaa, as a matter of fact, where he had to run up in dimensional perspective. The seagulls are coming.
Mine.
Oh, that's fun.
And you know, I looked at a videotape of this warthog, and I would just study it frame by frame, frame by frame. I really wanted to get this sense of warthogs have this really funny, graceful, prancy kind of way of running. They're very, it really goes against their mass weight because they're very light on their feet actually. And I tried to get that into the scenes that I did at Pumbaa, but it took a long time, a lot of trial and error in getting that right. And it's a matter of timing and research and drawings and everything kind of coming together.
Making mistakes.
Yeah.
Having successes, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotta be more questions.
I know we're talking about the Lion King, but what is your favorite character that you've done? I know.
The dreaded question.
It's like picking your kids.
It is, it truly is.
We all have a favorite kid. Don't be
Well, you answer first then.
Yeah.
I don't know, for me, it's probably Pumbaa. I mean, I had a great time on it. I think like I said, one of my best friends, Mike Surrey, who did Timon, he got cast on that, I got cast on Pumbaa. We shared an office together, we just had a Hakuna Matata